What is going on, everybody? It is lunchtime with the Clydesdale. It is Friday, and I wish I was more excited. But I am going to Pennsylvania as soon as I'm done with work this afternoon, and that's a 4-hour drive to go to my mom's house and celebrate her 80th birthday, which happened yesterday, but we're having a party for her tomorrow. But I am road weary, man. I am road weary. And that trip out west and back and getting right back to work took a lot out of me, and trying to get back into the swing of things, and now disrupting the weekend to go do this. And then Tuesday, my wife has surgery. Man, it's just a lot, like, in the file cabinet of things we got to do coming up. And I'm just kind of blah. I've got to get pumped. I got to get excited. And hopefully you guys can do that for me. What's going on, Sarah? Happy Friday. Ken Walters with a big hello. And Andrew Sten, it's Friday. It is. Ken says it's overhead squat day. Pukey. Oh my gosh, that is my favorite movement in all of CrossFit. There's nothing I love more than an overhead squat. It took me so long to, like, kind of master it. And it's that movement that you have to have like 80 things correct to be successful. And if you have 79, it's not enough. And so I just love the skill of that. It takes all the shoulder mobility that one can have. It takes getting deep into the hip crease with balance, all of that stuff. I just love overhead squats. I would do them all the time if I could. Meredith Jones says, happy Friday. Sarah Cooper, be excited to get to see your mom. I'm guessing you don't see her as much as you would like if she is that far away. Yeah, we've been doing about at least once a month to go see her. Of course, she had, if you guys have been following along, she had the stroke a couple of weeks ago, month ago, 2 months ago, something like that. And she's bounced back beautifully from that. I am excited to see my mom. I'm just not excited to be on the road, especially trying to get out of Columbus at rush hour. It's just awful. But because of the timing of everything this weekend, we have to go tonight. Generally, we would just sleep in our beds tonight, get up super early, and do the drive in the morning tomorrow. But the party's tomorrow, and we have to get there and decorate for the morning. So we have to fight the traffic out of town tonight. And that's really what I'm not looking forward to the most. And heck, I may make my wife drive tonight and just be a passenger, since she didn't make the trip out west. That might just make it easier on me all together. But I am excited to see my mom. Always excited to see her. Like I said yesterday, she's a true inspiration to me. I love her to death and can't wait to be with her this weekend. So, thank you for the reminder, Sarah. That was a good one. So, wanted to talk about a couple things. If you guys did not see, Emily Rolfe and Alex Gazan announced that they are not participating in this weekend's in affiliate semifinal. That it kind of boggles my mind. And then I thought about it, and I thought, for Emily, you got to do heavy Elizabeth again. That's not going to be your strong suit. You're in a much larger field than you would be at a semifinal. If she doesn't do well at heavy Elizabeth, like what happened at Mayhem, she finishes 17th or 18th. If she doesn't do well in heavy Elizabeth in the in-person affiliate semifinal, she may finish 500th, 600th on Isabel. I'm sorry, did I say the wrong thing? On Isabel. And so that alone could take her out of contention in this weekend, and why spend all that energy when you have a couple more opportunities left? Now for Alex, I don't really see the risk. I know her 1 rep max snatch has always been a problem, but she can cycle a snatch really well. So that one confuses me a little bit more. And there's not a lot being said as to the why on those. But I was really surprised because, as Sarah said, it's a risky business move. It is. Taking away an opportunity to qualify for the games, I think, is risky at this point. There are so few left, especially here in the States. There's NorCal, there's TFX, and there's Syndicate. Now, TFX and Syndicate, you can only half the country can go to each one. So really, there's only one of those two, and NorCal, if you either got an invite or you did the online qualifier. And so it's getting really tight for 4 in-person spots, opportunities. I know there's 6, but you can only do either TFX or Syndicate. So that's 4 tickets total after this weekend that they'll be able to go after. So I think it is a risky business move, and it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out. The women, and especially with all the women not doing it. I mean, Laura's not doing it. Tia said she's not doing it. Emma Lawson's not doing it this year. There's a lot of big names that make this in-affiliate semifinal, I think, easier to qualify for than most years. Now, again, I see Emily's issue with Isabel being in her way, and that she could fall way down the leaderboard and really take herself out of contention with one event. And I think that's a part of the design that hasn't really been talked about before. If you have one really bad event and you went to in years past Syndicate or West Coast Classic, you could have one bad event and you would the worst you could do is 40th, right? But now in affiliate semifinal, you could finish 500th in an event and completely take yourself out of contention for this weekend totally. And so that's got to be a factor in some of these decisions. And it wasn't a factor in semifinals in years past. Barbell spins in the house. NorCal is shaping up to be wild. It sure is. There's going to be a lot of people going for 2 spots in the last event of the year. And the streaming numbers for that have got to be wild. But this is the same problem when semifinals programming is the same like last year. I don't disagree. Sarah, it could be good for others, though. I hope Rebecca F makes it. People being out of the online could really help her. It really could. Mike Halpin with in an article on Morning Chalk Up, Kotler noted the stress of video submissions and public reviews. Man, you can't be stressed on public reviews. That's got to be the way things are done moving forward in order to have the best of the best make it. And now that Dave has said that they're adding a comment section, which I hope happens this weekend, but at least it'll happen for the 26th season. That's a good thing. And should clean up some of the mess that is a part of the online review. But you're a pro athlete. Everybody that plays pro sports gets judged in their performance. Every baseball player gets judged on how they performed in the playoffs. Every football player gets judged on how they played that game. Yeah, I understand that, Mike. I understand it's a reason, not the reason, but you can't be afraid of the public reviews on the videos. You just can't be as a pro athlete. It's part of the game, and it needs to be part of the game. The other thing I was going to bring up is we talked earlier on the Sunday night show about we talked about Elisa Fuliano finishing second at Wadland Fest and not having a spot at the games because she did not do the open. She actually released a statement on that. And here is her Instagram. She says, I walked away from what many dream of, to stay true to who I am. I didn't chase it this year, and yet last weekend's second place finish would have earned me my 4th consecutive qualification to the CrossFit Games. She talks about that she didn't have the pressure she did in years past because she didn't do the open and it wasn't first spot to the games. And she really enjoyed that she competed better with that setup. And then she writes, if you're wondering whether I regret my decision, I don't. I won't be at the CrossFit Games this year because I chose not to go, not because I'm not fit enough. I made the decision back at the start of the season when I chose not to register for the Open. But I've proven to myself that the work I put in this year would have brought me once again to compete with the top 30 athletes in the world. This awareness is what matters the most to me right now. Standing up for your values isn't always the easiest thing. Sometimes it means saying no or having the courage to make uncomfortable choices. And it goes on for another page there. And I think that we talked about on the Sunday show, we didn't have a problem with her making that decision. What we had a problem with is the event combining people who could qualify for the games and not qualify for the games makes it confusing when you're trying to explain how people make it to the games through these qualifying events. Spin says to read it in Italian. Ho rinunciate al sagagno. No way. That is rough. So I will skip that part. But anyway, it just makes it confusing when you're trying to explain to your friends how this season works. And you see this person up there on the podium, but they don't have a ticket. And the person in third place does, but the person in second doesn't. Why does that happen? And it's just harder to explain. And if you want to grow the sport, you need to make it simple to understand. And what's crazy, and I knew this was going to come up, but like this weekend, we're going to have probably the biggest, or it's going to be the largest amount of people qualifying for the games, and we don't really get to see it. The only way we will get to see it is to go watch the videos that go up for public review after all this is done. And so it really stinks that we don't get to see some version of this. I was really hoping that some athletes would do something like they did with Savon a couple years ago, where 4 or 5 of them would video their semifinal workouts, and we could at least see like how it plays out in a small competition setting, or like even if Proven found a way to broadcast this in affiliate throwdown they're doing with all of their athletes, that would be fun to watch. That would be fun to watch in some manner to see how that all plays out. T-Bird says it's confusing every year. I don't disagree with that, but we should find a way to make it not confusing. Sarah Cooper says you can watch Tyler do them incorrectly. Okay, there's that. I know this is the reason behind it. Too much on the line to do it at this stage of the year. Sure is. And they've given less time for redos, so they have less time to go back and do it again. So I get it. We talked about this yesterday. Athletes will do online this weekend, but going to French and TFX won't know if they've already qualified or not, as review still occurs. Exactly. So they are backfilling because the leaderboard wouldn't be final. They're backfilling the online version, they're not backfilling TFX and French. So what'll happen is if you're watching TFX or French, the people that get their spots will get their spots. And then if they qualify in the online, those spots will be backfilled. So, Andrew Sten has, I think there was the semifinal portion of an event should only be open to those eligible to qualify for the game season or for the games. She took a competition spot from someone else who wanted to shot at the games. And Barbell Spin's response, Wadland invited 70 women. It was fine. Yeah, way too many. Way too many heats. I do think that if you are going to define what your season is and ways to qualify, that those events that are defined as part of your season should be exclusive to those trying to advance in that season. That only makes sense. You don't see the NFL all of a sudden say, hey, Toronto Argonauts, come down and play in the NFL playoffs and see how you do. You won't advance, but maybe you upset somebody and you can take that home and feel proud because of that. Another example, Olympic trials don't allow people to compete who aren't eligible to qualify for the Olympics, do they? They do not. Sarah reminds us Mayhem was the same. Mayhem had people who, if they would have won, would not have advanced out as well. So, but again, it's all about the definition of what your season is, and then that season should be exclusive to those participating in the full season. This is what you get when you charge comps money to find 2 to 4 athletes and say at the end, send us who qualified. I get it. There was not a lot of direction given. There was not a lot of definition to the season, and we expanded what events were part of the season while the season was kind of happening. NorCal didn't get advanced until right before the Open, maybe. So yeah, we were still playing around with how you were going to advance as we're approaching the season. None of this was ideal. And it seems like it happens every year this way. We are waiting till the last minute to figure out what the season's going to look like, and so on and so on. And especially if if they sell before the next season begins, it could be something completely different next year. So who knows? I did, after the spin announced that Gazan and Rolfe were not competing, I went into my Heat 1 app and I made changes to the women's field. So my picks now are Ariel Lowen 1, Raptis 2, Danielle Brandon 3, Kerstetter 4, Annika Greer 5th, Amy Kringle 6th, Carolyn Prevost 7th, Paige Semenza 8th, Caroline Stanley 9th, Haley Adams 10th, and Hattie Canyo 11th. Outside looking in, Grace Walton, Brooke Wells, Madeline Sturt, Claudia Gluck. And then I actually went through the leaderboard on who signed up, and I just wanted to put out there a couple reminders of people that could have a shot, of people that I've interviewed in the past as a semifinal athlete that for some reason haven't moved forward, or someone maybe we forgot about that might have a shot. And so on that list, and I know Sarah Cooper has that, Sarah has Rebecca Fuselier. I have her as a person to remember. If she can get through Heavy Isabel without too much damage, I think she has an excellent shot at making it. Another person that I have is Elena Buds. Elena Buds was a really good semifinal athlete who had a knee injury and then another injury last year. So she's coming back after 2 straight years of not being able to compete at semis, and just someone to keep an eye on that may make some noise. And finally, Sydney McAlishan, who is a 2-time games athlete that some of us may have forgot about. She has a new coach now. She's not with Proven anymore and could make some noise in this field. And then finally, Marissa Flowers. Marissa Flowers is the 4'10" Mighty Mouse that always makes an impact in some event. There's always something that she crushes during semifinals, and she's just going to wreak some havoc on the leaderboard. Sarah asks, is Hattie competing? She posted about an injury and needing an MRI. I thought she was she is signed up. She is on the leaderboard as having paid the money and signed up. So I was taking it that she's going to give it a go. And now Andrew says she isn't doing the in-affiliate semis. Well, let's look on her Instagram. If you said she posted that. Oh, and Spin posted an article about it. I did not see that yet. Let me go to the Spin. Oh, there it is. Breaking news from the Spin. Hattie Canio needs MRI for shoulder injury, will miss in-affiliate semifinals. So there it is. Thank you guys for pointing that out to me. She's been fighting through the injury. Hoping to compete at NorCal Classic once everything gets cleared up. But yeah, that is out on the Barbell Spin if you want to go check it out. Her GoFundMe hit over her goal. That's awesome. So there it is. And you guys are good. Lana says, don't forget about Erica Fullo. I didn't forget about her. I just am not sure she's ready yet. A lot of change this season, and that's why I didn't pick her. So we'll see. Meredith says that's a bummer for Hattie. It is such a bummer. We've become such good friends. I'm really bummed out. I'll have to reach out to her after this. If you guys don't know, she used to do a show on this channel live from over there. Oh shoot, where she lives like half of the year. And I'm just totally brain dead with everything going on. Oh, yeah. Anyway, we did Wednesday shows live from somewhere over in Asia, Europe, something. Anyway, it was fun. She's awesome. One of my favorite people to interview. Always full of energy. And so, we'll have to reach out to her after this. Bali, that's it. Thank you, Sarah. Live from Bali. Yeah, she even took us on motorcycle rides through the streets. So super fun. Yeah. All right. What else did I have on the docket today? Oh, the men. My men picks. And so I'm going to miss the Hattie Kenyo pick I made. And I think it's too late to, I don't know. I'll have to see if I can make the change. On the men's side, I have Adler 1, Dallin Pepper 2, Hopper 3, Gerard 4, Crouch 5, Madera 6, Bailey Martin 7, Sam Kwan 8th, BKG 9, 10 is James Sprague, 11 Jack Rosema. On the outside looking in, Yonakoski, Nick Matthew, Enola Kai, Travis Mayer. So those are my picks on the men's side, and a couple of people to watch out for. One, I would have told you Caden Hogan, but he announced on his Instagram earlier this week that he injured his knee and will not be able to participate. He is a teen athlete. So he was a teen athlete at the games. Tristan Harrison, I think he's just a guy who found himself late. And I interviewed him last year before West Coast, and he started off like on fire. And I think that built a fire for him into this year. And then the last one I have is Sam Cornwallet. I think that a lot of times Sam would get into his head. And I think because he's put less emphasis on training this year, that he actually will perform better than he has in years past. So those are a couple people to look out for. And Andrew asked, why Sprague so low? It's heavy, Isabel. Same reason why I understand why Emily Rolfe is not doing the semifinal. I can see that knocking James down the leaderboard some with the other people I have as top candidates. And then I think he'll do great in other events, but it's going to be too little too late to make up the ground from that one heavy Isabel. That's really it. And really, I think at this point, he's just trying to qualify. Once you punch the ticket, then the games are a whole different story. So you're just trying to get into the top 11 anyway, anyhow. Because everything resets when you get to the games anyway. So that's why I have him low. No big secret. Ricky and Jay have a good shot online, I think. Oh, of course. And actually getting to work out together in that, what Proven is doing with their throwdown, bringing everybody into the Nashville location and having them work out together, and treating it like an in-person competition, I think is brilliant. And I think it's going to help them as well. And I don't think that they're unique, because Hopper and Dallin are working out together at Brute to push each other there. So I think the camps are doing the best they can to make it as in person as possible. Yeah, I think I have Ricky and Jay 4-5 on my list. So yeah, I think both of them will get in pretty easily. Which will then make Torian interesting, because it could open that up a little bit down there for, especially I think they get 2 spots. So if Ricky and Jay get in here and maybe Bailey gets in here, then what happens at Torian? Like, you're going to get 2 relative unknowns maybe down there for the what spots are left. The last thing I want to talk about going into the weekend is, I've told you guys how much I've really fallen in love with Full Swing, the Netflix documentary series about the PGA Tour. And I just finished season 2, which the culmination was the Ryder Cup, where the U.S. lost to Europe. But it was filmed epically. And if people don't remember the 23 Ryder Cup, there actually was a fight in the parking lot that was captured on video. They're really doing a great job. And this is what I've been saying about what CrossFit needs to do, of showing not just the good, but the bad. And then when you show the bad, you show people overcoming that, and it means so much more. And so totally loving the show. I know I got Denise watching it. Can't wait to get into season 3. There's 2 more to go. There's 4 seasons of Full Swing. So I will definitely be watching all of those. But the drama and there's a great story in this season where a kid featured on season 1 became the 10th ranked player in the world. Then his brother qualifies for the British Open, and his brother is younger than him and has never played on the PGA Tour. So his first event is the British Open, and they go toe to toe, and the younger brother ends up winning over the older brother, who is the 10th ranked player in the world. And the payday he got from that was so massive. And it was so cool to see. There's just really great moments in Full Swing. And I highly recommend it. And then Draw Your Dagger tells us I need to get on Drive to Survive. I got my wife hooked on F1 after she watched it. And Halpin says Drive to Survive is greater than Full Swing. I'll have to check it out. I've heard good things about that as well. I've never been an IndyCar guy or F1 guy. So we'll see. I'll try to watch it after I finish Full Swing. But everybody that I talk to in the space, when they talk about what CrossFit needs to do from a media perspective, talks about those 2 shows as examples of what to do. So I dove into Full Swing finally to try to get a feel for what they were talking about. And it becomes abundantly clear as the documentary kicks off what they do very, very well. And they don't hide the warts. And that's, I think, the biggest thing. I think in the CrossFit space, either CrossFit or the athletes are trying to hide some of the warts. But when you let people in on that part of the story, it means more when they overcome that. So, Draw Your Dagger says, Drive to Survive is more like MTV Real World than watching a race. And yes, CrossFit would be wise to emulate that style. I don't disagree. The people that are becoming the most popular are people that are talking trash to each other, that are doing stuff outside of the scope of what CrossFit is doing, and they're helping themselves out. It would be awesome if someone could coordinate something to help the whole sport out, as opposed to just a few athletes. But yeah. And my only fear with Drive to Survive is I literally know nothing about F1. I don't even know the racers' names. Where golf, like I would tune in to a major every so often and kind of watch. And so I knew a lot of the names from Sports Center and from tuning into a few tournaments a year. But I wouldn't call myself a golf fan. And then I fell in love with it. And then watching this year's Masters was a lot more fun because I actually knew even more athletes or more golfers, and knew their backstory, which made watching golf better for me. And that's where I think CrossFit is missing the mark. When you know the people and you know their stories, you have a bigger rooting interest to those athletes when the opportunity then arises to see them on the floor, doing what they're doing. The show that does that so well is American Ninja Warrior. Nobody watches that to see someone go through the obstacle course. The obstacle course is just a metaphor for what they've overcome in real life when they do the little vignettes before they go. There's so much going on in their life that they've overcome, and then they show them literally overcoming obstacles to get to the end of the obstacle course. And I think that is, in a small way, in a vignette way, does it, where Full Swing is a full documentary and you get the full story behind it. I believe in at least F1's case, and Netflix has exclusive rights to capture behind the scenes at events. That would be interesting if the games did that. It would be, Because right now it's just kind of the wild, wild west at the games. You can apply for that, and they've been handing it out somewhat willingly in the past few years. So yeah. Um, Andrew Sten, imagine if Netflix got the games behind the scenes and Savon couldn't do anything. I see. I think it needs to be more than just behind the scenes at the games. It needs to be a season. You need to have people in gyms during the off season. You need to be at Wadapalooza. You need to be at Rogue. You need to be during the Open in a gym with some athletes. You need to be at the semifinal events. It has to be the full season. I don't disagree with, I don't think we do a bad job with the stuff that goes out, but it's all piecemealed in different areas where in at least Full Swing, you're getting it all in one package. You're getting it all. And then they take like one episode and they focus on Rory McIlroy from beginning to end and how his season goes. Or they focus on just Jordan Spieth in the way his season goes. And so they cut it up where you get like the full story of that golfer for the full season. So it's just done in a different format that makes it a one full package instead of just a bunch of stuff all over the place. Again, simpler is better. Simpler is better. Halpin says, yeah, they were being fairly liberal last year with BETS access. HQ gave glitter bands to a dude that just posts Google Sheets on their Instagram stories. Wonder who that was. Yeah, I didn't apply for behind the scenes at the games. I think there's so many people back there. What could I do different than what's being done back there? So I'm always looking for a different angle. What can I do here? Or what can I do there that's different than what other people are doing? And last year would have been a terrible year to get behind the scenes. Kudos to the people that gave it a shot, because last year would have been really, really tough. I had a tough time just being in the venue, let alone all the other stuff that went along with it. So with that, my lunch hour is just about over. Time for me to go back to work. Time for you knuckleheads to go back to work. Hope you all have an amazing weekend. We will be back live on Sunday night talking about Sunday night CrossFit talk with Carolyn and Jamie. And who knows, maybe Carolyn is one of the newest CrossFit Games athletes. We probably won't know immediately, but who knows? On Sunday night, I know she is trying to qualify for both the Masters and the Elite CrossFit Games in the same season. That is one of her goals, and to compete in both. So Sunday night, maybe we'll see. And I know Jamie has been trying to do the workouts this weekend. So we'll get her feedback on that, plus everything else that's happening in the space. And we will see everybody next time. So tune in Sunday night or next Monday for Lunch with the Clydesdale. We'll see everybody then. Bye, guys.